Views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Tuesday, the 1st of July, 2025, and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. We got a full show today. I got a bunch of things to talk about giveaways. I'm excited. I got a guest in studio today. And it's the 1st of July. And I'm just a little excited. I can tell you why, because it's mangoes everywhere. Sometimes the excitement is happy and sometimes it's upset and frustration. I'm excited because everywhere I go, there's mangoes on the ground, but I only have 1 foot, so I can't stop to pick them up. First of all, because I ain't driving, I ain't in control of the car, right? But there are too many mangoes on the ground just going to waste. And I know that people get frustrated, right, with the fruit because they don't know what to do with it, because there's no system that they could easily plug into, right? A system where, like, at some point, is BAIC going to put out a call and say, listen, mango season is approaching. BAIC is prepared to provide space for producers to turn this local fruit into product, to add value to it, right? We will provide space for producers to do that. We're already training producers to do that. And now what we need is a system where people who have the raw product could just plug in, whether it is they drop it off or they gather them so that people can come and collect them, right? Or they allow people to come and do the work of collecting and harvesting the mangoes before they rot, before they go to waste. I don't think this is necessarily a bumper crop mango year, but I think this has been a significant increase after the last 2 years of mango seasons where the weather was changing in a way that the pattern was like erratic. 2023 was a year full of rain. 2024 was very dry. 2025 was even drier, right? And so maybe we were overwhelmed by how many mangoes we saw this year, but it's definitely not a bumper. It's not 2013 numbers. 2013, there were just mangoes everywhere. So I'm excited, right? Right now, there's dilly on the ground, there's mango on the ground, there's soursop on the ground, berries and mulberries and passion fruit on the ground. And like I said, my excitement is a mixture of happiness and frustration because we have all of this bounty, but we haven't been able to create the systems to be able to benefit, not take advantage of, but benefit from the bounty. Anyway, I had to say that. There's just too much fruit going to waste. There's too much produce that we're not extracting value from. And not just in terms of what we consume, what we eat, but what we could be processing. You know what all of these mangoes mean? It means that we have this massive supply of mango butter that we could begin adding to our cosmetic products, right? You melt the mango butter into the coconut oil. We got both. People just need systems to plug into. Anyway, a part of my discussion today is with an organization that has been trying to create a system for people to plug into. But we're going to get to that. I want to make another announcement from the Loyal Charles Farquharson Will competition. The organizer, Mr. Dennis Carlton Bethel, would like to thank Mr. Jonathan Turnberry of Caribbean Bottling Company for Coca-Cola for its sponsorship in the program. You could only imagine what the prizes will be. The competition, I think, is going to be extended to 4 winners, but we're going to get more of that tomorrow. We just wanted to take this time to say thank you to Mr. Jonathan Turnberry of the Caribbean Bottling Company for Coca-Cola. Okay, now to the Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel Cruise Promotion Giveaway. The deadline, the drawing is June 27th. The drawing is July 4th. But today on air, we're calling 2 of the finalists to let them know that they have been selected as a finalist for the Guardian Media Group Going Places Cruise Promotion Giveaway. I'm just waiting for the signal from my producer, and he's going to let me know when we're ready to make the call. So if you dropped your paper in that box, if you participated in one of the 4 ways to win, stay tuned because you may hear your name on the radio very soon. Like I said, just waiting for my producer to give us a word. I'm going to introduce my guests so we could start talking while we're waiting. Good morning, Ms. Vanessa Bethel. How are you?
I'm good.
Introduce yourself and tell us what role you play at Organization for Responsible Governance.
Sure. So my name is Vanessa Bethel. I am currently the project manager for Map for Good Bahamas, but also as of recently, I've been promoted to senior manager for organizational development and operations.
Okay, awesome. And today we're talking about 2 events, well, an event that you're having and an ongoing program, right? So we're going to get to that in a minute. Today, July 1st, is the 3rd day on the 52nd Independence calendar of events, and the theme for today is National Flag Day. Today, we kick off the celebration by wearing the national colors, aquamarine, gold, and black. Bahamians at home and abroad, including communities in corporate Bahamas, are encouraged to show national pride through vibrant attire. Flag-raising ceremonies will be held at 9 a.m. or were held at 9 a.m. across the country and at Bahamian foreign missions. Well, I brought my flag with me today. I got one. Very lucky to have been able to secure one, and secure one in the I would say, formal colors, aquamarine, gold, and black. However, it is important to note that because of the rarity of these 2 colors in the industrial world, right, the gold and the aquamarine, there's an official alternate color, right? So there's a blue can replace aquamarine, a specific blue, and there's a specific, I think, yellow that can replace the gold. Producer, that's us? All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're on the clock with Erin Greene.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir. I'm calling you to let you know that you, Mr. Jamal Chisholm,
Yes, ma'am.
you are a finalist in the Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel Cruise Promotion Giveaway.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
You're welcome. You've been selected as a finalist, and you're required, listen, you have to be at Going Places Travel on Friday for 12 noon to 2 p.m. to see if you have the winning key.
That's great. I can be there.
All right, now tell me where you're going to be.
At Going Places. Is that the one in, hold on now, Cable Beach, you said?
No, Going Places
one?
Travel, I think is at the mall. Is at the mall? I gonna check. Okay, I gonna check.
Mardon?
Yeah. See,
Okay.
I so jealous of y'all in the competition. I can't play because I wait for the station. I said I don't even want to know where they located. Okay, so
right.
Mall at Marathon.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my home base is Cable Beach. That's why I said that. But
Okay.
yeah, I'll be at the mall at Marathon on Friday at 12.
And you get
15 minutes before.
yeah, be there early, and remember the event is 12 to 2 p.m. Tell your boss
Okay.
you gotta go,
Yeah, yeah.
Mr.
Well, I'll let my boss know I'll be in a little late.
Okay. We have your contact information, so if any of the details change, we will contact
Okay.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Mr.
right.
Chisholm, congratulations.
Thank you again.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Let me ask you a quick question before you go.
Yes, ma'am.
You ever been to Colombia? You can speak
No.
Colombian?
Not yet.
You been to Curacao?
I'm gonna start practicing. Yeah,
Yes.
I've been to Curacao this year.
You could speak Dutch?
Dutch, no.
Okay. Anyway, I'm excited for you, and I could see you're excited. So you stay tuned,
yeah.
and we'll see you on Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. at Going Places Travel.
All right.
Have a great
Okay.
day.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Oh, I dead excited. Look at all these new cousins I have. Don't worry, Mr. Chisholm. I ain't gonna play. I ain't gonna play with your chances. All right. We're waiting for the producer to connect us to the second finalist so we could announce to them that they got to be at Going Places Travel Friday, 12 noon to 2 p.m. to see if they have the winning key. Okay, back to today, Tuesday, the 1st of July. It's National Flag Day. Miss Bethel, of the three colors, what's your favorite?
Why you ask me such a hard question?
No, don't worry then. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller. Hello, hello, hello. Are you there? Anyway, this one call I can't hang up on. Producer, you all right? I could just wait for the thing to flash. So, Miss Bethel, aquamarine, gold, or black?
That's so hard. That is so hard.
See, because gold like mango. How could you not love it?
Right?
You know, how could you not love it? Aquamarine, like the sky, like the
And to see.
yeah, on a summer holiday,
But you know, black would for the strength of the people.
without a doubt.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the value of those beautiful things that we have, and the bounty that they give us.
Yeah,
But people are always at the center of my heart. So
absolutely.
there we go. We found an answer, even though it was challenging.
Yeah, and the science we know that when all colors come together, it forms black, right? Like black is a symbol of harmony, right, and strength.
Yeah.
Just for a moment, while like I say, while we're waiting for the producer to connect us to the next lucky finalist, right, on their way to possibly being a winner. Do you know the story of the Bahamian flag?
I'm sure there's gaps in it. There's the tidbits, but I think there's it. Of course, I go straight to this is where gaps in our storytelling and gaps in our education, where there's bits and pieces that we miss out. So
I got you.
Yeah.
So one of the projects you're coming in to talk about today is Map for Good, right? And it's map. Well, here we go. Our caller is live. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You sure?
I would hope so.
Yeah, because you sound more excited than I sound. Good morning and welcome to On the Clock. Okay, so it is my pleasure to let you know, Terry Aline,
Yeah.
that you are a finalist in the Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel Cruise Promotion Giveaway.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you what that means. As a finalist, you need to be at Going Places Travel on Friday, this Friday, at 12 noon. The event is going to last for about 2 hours. You need to be able to have that amount of time available. On Friday, when you go to that event, I guess the winner will be selected from the finalists. And you have to be there to see if you have the winning key for the Going Places Guardian Media Group Cruise Giveaway.
Which going places though? Which location?
We're going to the mall.
Okay.
Mall at Marathon.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, I have to ask this standard question.
Yeah.
You could speak Colombian?
So, no Spanish, little.
Oh, that's good. Poquito. Poquito carry you well.
Yeah, poquito.
Yes.
And then, you have to use the hand.
Yeah. There's a universal language,
Right.
There's a
right.
universal language, and Bahamians got it. A smile, a little bit of manners and respect, that take us everywhere in the world.
Very much so. Very much so.
But listen, congratulations, cousin.
Cousin.
I mean, because, you ain't taking nobody but family with you, and now that we's cousins. Anyway, listen, it's been my pleasure to let you know that you've been selected as a finalist in the Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel Cruise Promotion Giveaway. Now, your job is to be at Going Places Travel Mall at Marathon at noon so we could see if you have the winning key for your cruise to 4 destinations. No visa required. And you could take 3 of your friends. We'll see you then, Miss Eileen.
Yes. Do I need to bring anything? ID? Anything like that?
No, I mean, travel with your ID. Definitely
Right.
travel with your ID. And if you could bring your passport with you, I would say bring your passport with you, just in case.
Just in case. Okay.
But proper government ID, I would say bring 2 pieces if you could.
Okay. No problem. And you said at 12?
At noon, Friday,
Noon,
12
right.
to 2 p.m.
Okay. No problem.
Listen, you have a wonderful day, cousin.
And you too.
And if you don't win the cruise, I could take you on a cruise to Rose Island.
Well, I have one plan, but anyhow, but my thing is, I don't know the name of my cousin, though.
Oh, this Erin Greene on the clock.
Okay, Erin.
Now listen,
Greene.
if I hear you tell customs, don't put her on the boat, I can route when you get back.
No. The Greenes are our cousin.
Oh, good stuff. I'm glad we was already related.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful day. You start preparing now.
But no. I'm prepared. I've been back a long time.
Oh, good stuff. You know. Okay, have a great day.
You too. Stay safe. And
All right.
enjoy.
See you on Friday. Oh, that is awesome. So 2 finalists have been selected. They're going to be at Going Places Travel at the Mall at Marathon Friday from 12 to 2 to see which one of them has the winning key.
And they could take a whole 3.
They can take 3 people with them. No visa required.
I volunteer as tribute for anybody who needs a friend.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you need a friend to taste the food before you taste it, that's my job.
Oh, yeah.
And Vanessa trained me, so if I ain't available, she could take the slot. This is so exciting. I'm so happy for the people who participated, this chance to win. Okay, now I said I have a trivia competition today as well, but I don't know if we got enough time to get into it. I'm going to have to hold this trivia off until tomorrow. But listen, Beauty Inc. Studios, our guest yesterday, is giving away a special prize to a listener if they could get the trivia question correct. I'm going to save the trivia question for tomorrow because it's going to be exciting. Beauty Inc. Studios, they provide a special service. They do camouflage tattooing, which is like a scar removal and treatment process. They do stretch mark removals, and they also do skin rejuvenation services, right? So it's a very special space, and I'm excited about it. Tomorrow we're going to do that giveaway, so y'all get for tomorrow as well. Now, Miss Bethel, let's get into the discussion. We're going to be talking about Map for Good, and it's a project that essentially maps all of the civil society organizations in the country to create a platform that donors and funders, policymakers, and other organizations can connect to share resources, to better understand the space that they're working in, and to identify issues and better strategize around solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the public will be able to access the database and the interactive map as well. So they can also identify what services are out there and where they can find support in the areas that they need. But also there's a lot of people that are looking to support organizations too, whether it's through donations or volunteering. So it's really meant to serve as a really exciting foundation for both the public, the sector, and the relevant stakeholders, as you mentioned, to really leverage how we work together to build a better strategy and framework for us all to better achieve our missions. I mean, organizations are doing incredible and vital work, right? Mm-hmm. But we know that those resources are limited, and so we're trying to create a landscape that organizations can really thrive.
Absolutely. I want to plug sort of the Independence calendar of events into this conversation. Monday, the 7th of July is the National Day of Unity. Tuesday, the 8th of July is the National Day of Service, right? A map for good would be most useful at this time so individuals and organizations can plan projects, right, under the theme National Day of Service. You can identify civil society organizations, the issues they're working on, and the programs that they're operating currently, and you can contact them to determine whether, as an individual, you can volunteer on that day in one of their projects, or as a group, you can support that entity and that project short-term and long-term.
Absolutely.
I think another great sort of client, another group or entity that would benefit from this list is the Ministry of Education. High school students have to complete a certain number of, we call extracurricular hours or service hours, right? Mm-hmm. And so for schools to be able to provide access to the map, for students to determine which organization they would like to work with. What are the projects that the organization is working on? And then a student may find out that, hey, hold on, this is the organization that's been working with my church. What a perfect fit. Not only is it a space that the work I'm familiar with, but because I'm familiar with the organization, then it's easier for me to participate, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of how the map for good could be used.
No, absolutely, and really the sky's the limit when we start with identifying who's out there and what they're doing. It's really a really strong foundation for these really important partnerships. I mean, beyond the fact that, say, a student can check off the list that they have to complete their hours, but also completing that act of service. Having that be part of the growing and emotional growth that we as people are doing, but also it's often an opportunity for us to see what kind of fields are out there, what kind of work people are doing. It's a professional development opportunity as well. And then for organizations, we have partners that do volunteer management training, because a lot of these things, require effort on the organization side too, to be equipped to receive volunteers, and have the really strong programming for them, so they come in and have the most impact. But also, for example, we every summer we receive interns from the Ministry of Education, and we plan that program around making sure that it's a two-way street. They're helping us, with our programming, but we're also making sure that they have professional development in there, that they're getting value out of not just the service aspect, but also when they're thinking about what kind of fields of study I want to have. It gives them that work experience. We even have we're going to have, resume building workshops, because those are skills that sometimes we don't always have access to, and it helps give you the leg up. And so I think it's about creating the landscape and the ecosystem for organizations and obviously the communities they serve, and then in turn the populace as how we engage with them. It really, I get excited about it because really the potential is immense of what having a really strong platform for like Map for Good will enable, right? But we have to get there, right? We have to build out the map and the directory. And to do that, we really need the support of organizations. We need them to, we've been working tirelessly to identify them and connect with them, but we've also created channels for them to reach out to us. And we're actually launching a very brief survey that's vital to collect and verify the information. Because certainly I could go out there and be like, oh, well, that seems like the number that you would reach. This seems like the programming. And put that, but that may not be accurate, right? We want to make sure that the information is verifiable. We want organizations to participate because we want to build this to be a platform and a hub for them to eventually be able to build out their own profiles. We want them to use this as a tool. We're doing this for the sector, right? We're doing it as an initiative because we see the value, and we know when we're in meetings and various organizations come together and we're talking about the ways we can collaborate and the ways we can support each other in various ways. We've seen that potential. So we're just trying to create a space that allows that on a much broader level.
Absolutely. Like you said, the project intends to support the sector itself, but it in and of itself then enables other stakeholders in the space to partner
Absolutely.
with you and facilitates their connection to the smaller organizations.
Absolutely.
The government, policymakers is that audience, right? So now they can plug into a system that they can use to easily determine how this particular policy may impact the broader society.
Of course, and as an organization, one of the key things that we advocate for at org is better public consultation and consultation with civil society, the people that are often, right at the forefront of these issues. And so being better able to identify for policymakers, be able to identify those organizations, especially because most of those organizations are a lot smaller. They're, really grassroots organizations. They're harder to identify. So being able to do that and then connect and plug in directly with those folks that are on the front lines inherently will improve the policy decision making, right? And then also we're working to empower those organizations further, right? So they're better at advocating around issues of policy as well, right? So it's really multi-dimensional in sort of the intent for increased impact, essentially, right? Like that's about it. It's about harnessing the power for better impact because we're all working in whatever shape or way, area, right? We're working to serve our country, we're working to serve the people, right? So what's, from arts programs to, business associations or, environmental organizations or feeding programs, right? Everything is interconnected. So how do we better partner and collaborate and then better advocate and then also connect with other organizations? And also some of it's, I'll use a very recent example. We have a regional organization called the Caribbean Policy Development Center, right? And they were working, all nations in the Caribbean are working with, recommendation 8 of FATF. I'm not going to remember the whole name, but that's a lot of what's developing and pushing policy around regulating the sector because essentially it's meant to, weed out bad actors and, people laundering money through organizations or terrorism funding. But sometimes those pieces of legislation can stunt or hinder the growth of nonprofits. You have a lot more bureaucratic challenges, right? So, they were doing a regional consultation and because because I've been compiling information to connect with organizations, I was able to share that information with organizations so they can attend, so their voices could be heard. Because what CPDC is going to do is they're going to share out that information to the regulatory frameworks around the region, but also the international actors that are pushing those types of policies, right? So that's just one example of just even being able to bring you into relevant conversations that will have a direct impact. And there's many things like that when corporate funders have reached out to us and say, hey, do you know anybody doing work in this particular field? And then we can point them in the right direction. But also having this platform, funders can directly go and identify and start looking, right? And so again, it's the potential for what this can do is immense, but we have to get people on the map and in the directory, and that's
To
a big,
realize the power of it.
yeah, and I know it's hard sometimes because we're running on E a lot of the times as organizations, and so participating in another survey and doing this, it can be a bit daunting. But the survey it's very short. It's really meant to just collect and verify the vital information that we need for the directory and map, and by being a part of this network, it opens up, I think, a world of opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to sort of piggyback on that by referencing a recent proclamation by the Prime Minister to declare or to proclaim 7th of July 2025 as Civil Society Bahamas Day, right? And we see the sector sort of shaping up, entrenching important mechanisms within it, the strengthening of the NPO Act, the commencement of the work of the Parliamentary Human Rights Commission, which I hope will evolve or produce a National Human Rights Institute per the treaties that we've signed on to, that we will have a substantive committee with human rights actors and advocates, right, as opposed to just parliamentarians, to continue doing the work. I'm not sure if that's the right place for parliamentarians. However, I just want to read briefly from the proclamation that was, I think, published on the at least was signed on the 20th of June by the Prime Minister. And it reads, whereas Civil Society Bahamas, the apex body of civil society organizations for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, has represented and promoted tripartite governance of delegated authority and power over the past 20 years, and recognizes that the people of the Bahamas are the most valuable assets and investments of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, encouraging each citizen to embrace the theme, giving back while taking responsibility. And whereas the executives and general membership, effectively functioning as national gatekeepers, continually seek to foster an environment that sustains the highest quality of life for all Bahamians and Civil Society Bahamas, which is detailed in its memorandum and articles, Section 4, subsection C, remains committed to being a viable partner to government and the business sector as envisaged by the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. And whereas the Caribbean Community and Common Market, CARICOM, established by the Treaty of Chaguaramas in 1973, later created the Caribbean Single Market and Economy in its 2001 revision, expanding regional cooperation beyond economic matters. It's quite a lengthy proclamation. We're not going to read through all of it now, but I'm going to go to the end. And whereas in celebration of its 20th anniversary, Civil Society Bahamas, in collaboration with the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting, has planned a series of commemorative activities, including several community initiatives and a special church service. Now, therefore, I, Philip E. Davis, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, do hereby proclaim 7th of July 2025 as Civil Society Bahamas Day. And I just want to say in honor of the caller yesterday that proclaimed with the question why you have to be critical about everything, because that's the beauty of the human experience. I just want to support you in your belief and say that I'm concerned that an institution that considers itself the apex body of civil society organizations continues to herald its work using Christian church and religious spaces. It suggests to me that you don't understand what being an apex body in a plural society, a multicultural society, and a multi-religious society means, right? And so it's great to see the declaration of a Civil Society Day, but we must ensure in all spaces that it includes all Bahamians, that it's accessible by all Bahamians. And sometimes, with a good heart, we inadvertently create barriers to participation by those who need access the most. Yeah? And so to that caller, you're right, I'm going to be critical about everything. But it's exciting to see another element in the space begin to strengthen itself, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that there's multiple organizations, not even just org and Civil Society Bahamas, and we often partner together on certain initiatives, right? And so there's spaces that I think the goal. I'll speak from org's perspective. We're mapping faith-based organizations as well, and that is really meant to be inclusive. It is meant to be representative, and so I think that's why there is a role for everyone to play in the sector. And so Map for Good, for example, is a part of a broader conversation that we're having with other organizations of how do we come together and really think about how do we actually maybe work together to coordinate certain initiatives where we're all doing certain things already that's kind of feeding into the sector. But if we were actually to maybe coordinate a little bit more, that would be powerful, right?
Right, because it requires us to practice a spatial awareness that then drives us. It makes it impossible for us to work without considering the impact of our work on other individuals and organizations. Because with the purest heart, with the most authentic intention, our work could become a barrier to other organizations in the space. And we're going to a break. When we come back from the break, we've got another org event taking place this week. Very excited. If you're interested in the budget, org is bringing some tools to the table for you. We're going to a break. We'll be right back.
Bahamas, it's your girl, Coach Trish Hanna, and guess what? I'm over here now on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM with Your Lane Talk Show. Starting Sunday, July 6th at 4 p.m., I'm bringing you real talk and fresh perspective on everything that matters to us as women. Relationships, beauty, finances, faith, and so much more. I'll continue to bring transparency to taboo topics as I aim to empower, encourage, and educate women of all ages, stepping boldly out of the four walls and into media. So tell a friend and tune in every Sunday at 4 p.m. We're walking in your lane on Guardian Talk Radio.
Let's have conversation on what we face every day. It's Your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hanna.
Abaco, get ready for the summer's official rum and beer lingo. Royalty Sounds present Found Fast. Found Fast. Saturday, July 5th, Morris Harbor, Abaco at the Royal Recreational Ground. Gates open 5 p.m., $20 entry. Ladies free before 8 p.m. with Nassau and Abaco's hottest DJ. Don't miss the beer drinkers versus rum drinkers competition.
Right, pulling for the best side, ice and liquor.
Damn rum for me. Found Fast, July 5th, Abaco. Sponsored by Collect. The Bear of the Bahamas, drink responsibly.
Sign up now for the Michael Scooter Reed Peace on the Streets Basketball Classic. This is our 30th year, and we are doing it big. Sign up for 13 and under Tropical Gyro, 16 and under the Myers Group, Sun Oil, 20 and under in the Church Group, We Buy, You Sell, the Design Group in the Open Division, and for the first time, the Jamaica Bahamas Corporate Division. Competition begins July 14th to the 20th at the Hope Center. And then Kendall Isaacs. That's the Michael Scooter Reed Peace on the Streets Basketball Classic, where we shoot hoops instead of guns.
Good morning and welcome back to On the Clock with Erin Greene. You're on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. And let me remind you, keep your radio tuned to this station all day for the next couple of days to find out if you have been selected as a finalist for the Going Places Travel Guardian Media Group Cruise Giveaway Promotion. So stay tuned, stay tuned. Ms. Bethel joining me from Organization for Responsible Government. We were talking about the value of the Map for Good project that is mapping all civil society organizations in the country. And now I want to transition to an event that's taking place this week.
Yeah. So this week on the 3rd at 6:30, we have a webinar that is a part of a broader project that we're working around called Be Clear, and it's around enabling us to better understand our national budget, right? Of course, sometimes, I don't know about other folks, but like you start getting into economics and terms and figures, and I'm not so sure what that means. So this program is designed around better equipping us to understand the budget, really connecting us to, what those things mean and understanding how the process works in terms of forming the national budget, but also what it means when, and better understand how money is allocated and, and then I think we can then better identify, hey, why is this thing that I really care about not getting sufficient funding, and then we are better equipped to have those conversations and potentially advocate for what we see and know to be as really vital to us as Bahamians, right? And we are really grateful that we have Therese Turner Jones, a Bahamian economist, who's incredibly well versed. That will be leading the webinar and sort of helping us better understand the budget. And, as part of the project, groups can book presentations with our project lead, Ari Wells. So we can get into, we have actually, toolkits that actually help go through the exercise of like thinking about, how this process is done. How do you make the decisions, especially when, you're working with maybe limited resources. How do you go about making those decisions, but then thinking about, what that actual impact is. So there's an arm where you can totally, we will come to you, we'll talk to you about the program. But then on Thursday, there's a publicly accessible webinar that folks can join. You can register for. The link is available in all of our social medias. They come up really quickly if you Google Org Bahamas or the Organization for Responsible Governance, or our website. There's a drop-down box that says Be Clear on it, and the link is right there, and you can register. And it should be on our Facebook Live at the time.
I went to Facebook last night. It's one of it's up at the top of the page, right?
Yes, yeah. So it's really easy to find the link. But of course, if you have any trouble, you can reach out to us.
And what type of organizations, in terms of the outside of the webinar, the in-person sessions, what types of organizations should reach out?
Any and everybody, honestly. We're in the summer, so sometimes, we have information geared to a younger audience. We had a previous iteration of this program that went through a 10-week program with a group of students where we covered things like fiscal literacy, media literacy, all of the skill sets. A lot of them were coming in with, we did a pre and post test, very little knowledge, and at the end, they scored really high on the post on the post test. So we've, kids groups, but also business professionals, faith-based groups, service groups, any and everybody, because really, no matter where we sit, the budget affects us all, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're available for any group, and even if it's just a group of concerned citizens, they can come together and we'll come out. They don't have to be a formal group.
All right, this is awesome. Okay, so Thursday, the 3rd of July. Mm-hmm. The time?
6:30 p.m.
And the guest speaker?
Therese Turner Jones.
All right, and she is a financial expert.
Absolutely.
We're talking budget.
Mm-hmm.
Get your questions together. If you want to know, how do you plan for a surplus? How do you plan for a deficit? Where do I find specific information? I'm interested about NGO and civil society work. How do I identify the things I'm concerned about in a national budget?
Yeah.
What is a line item? These are some of the things we're
we're
talking
really trying
about.
to break it down. Yeah, because like I said, me, I some economics was a thing that's always been a trouble. And so, all these terms, especially when you have a budget address and all of these things are being said and you're like, well, I'm not quite sure what that means. And Therese is really helping us break that down and really understand what all of this means and what the implications are.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if I'm getting the web address correct, but the Bahamas government has a web page specific to budget-related issues. I think it's bahamasbudget.bs.gov or
I think that's right.
.gov.bs.
Something, yeah.
But if you
I think
search
it's .gov.bs.
Right, if you search Bahamas budget or Bahamas budget debate, the page should come up. I'm hoping that they have updated the page with the most recent budget communication, the most recent budget, and links to the debate and the contributions by various ministers. But this site is an excellent tool because we don't all have the time to just tune into Parliament all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're working, we don't necessarily have the time to critically interrogate what it is we're hearing, right? And so this becomes a tool you can use to better understand what's being said. Absolutely. Okay, contact information for org. I want to connect my organization for the Map for Good project. How do I do that?
Sure, you can reach out to me directly through any of our social media pages by just DMing us, but also you can reach me at vanessa@orgbahamas.com, and that's VANESSA, or you can reach me at 424-827 wait, I just forgot my number. 424-82. I'll have to follow up on that. I just totally forgot my own number.
This is why we need advocacy groups, right? I'm going to ask a question. In the mapping so far, have you found any advocacy or activist groups that are doing work with technology, right? The second question I want to ask is, have you mapped any organizations that work specifically on cultural and historic preservation?
So we have mapped organizations that sort of have that, like, for example, the historical preservation as sort of, it's not part of their primary mission, but incidentally things happen, right? Where that becomes, because that's often what happens with organizations, right? We're out here doing work, but you see a need and you're trying to fill it. But undoubtedly there's organizations out there, and that's why we really want them to reach out, and so we can include them. We have multiple technology-based organizations, a lot around equipping youth, around being able to utilize these tools.
Right, so there's the issue of sort of net neutrality, and then there's an issue of access, right? Like they're actually two sort of separate issues. Are you providing the same level of service across the board? And then who can actually access what it is that you're providing? There are issues that arise around young people, and not just access to technology, but with the advent and proliferation of technology, do we have systems in place that support the development of young people? So, for instance, we know that when children are born, the bones in their hands don't actually connect, and it's through years of hand use, right, and tactile activity that children's hands strengthen, and then we realize that learning how to write and holding a pencil and holding crayons help with the development of dexterity, right? And then it also helps with cognitive connections. And so with the advance of technology, do we have organizations that are advocating to ensure that young people also have access to sort of traditional education tools that also aid in development, right? Like there's just a plethora of activities. And then do they have things for us, like people who can't remember phone numbers because we don't dial them anymore because we just hit a button or we hit a name. And so now...
And it pulls it up, yeah.
And then we realize that, hold on, that was a memory exercise that I used to do. And now I can't do, right, that same way.
Yeah, and I think also as we strengthen the sector too, I think what we'll find, and when organizations are better able to do the work they're doing, because I would, we're going to get some data out of the project to, identify what types of programs are out there, but I would venture to guess that a lot of them are response driven, like response to an issue, and there's a lot more, I think, space for us to really delve into sort of some of the really deep-rooted root causes, the stuff behind sort of the crisis. And I think the deeper that we're able to do this work and meet the needs that are right at the top, that I think it creates more space for people to really be digging into the importance of, instead of response to, we have, people not equipped for the workforce, and then so we have apprentice programs, we're doing these things, but we start thinking about what happens and looking at the research and what needs to be happening in early childhood development. It allows us to really get into not like the quick, like this is a thing that we need to respond to, but it starts getting to the deeper issues. And there are definitely organizations out there that are doing that. But there's I think more space for that. And as we strengthen as a sector, I think you're going to see a lot more of that.
Absolutely. Producer, do we have time to take that call? Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Erin and Greene. My favorite talk show host, Mark A. Tank, was 242 Small Business Association.
Morning. How you do?
Yeah, man, this is a great. I'm going to register the 242 Small Business Association into the it's org.com, right?
Yeah, it's
orgbahamas.com.
Yeah.
So when you go on the website, what do you do?
You'll see a link for Map for Good. And there's buttons everywhere where it's asking you to get involved or join, and it'll just take you to a brief form where you can submit your phone number and name, and then I'll follow up with you directly. Or you could reach out to me directly at vanessa@orgbahamas.com.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Thank you so much, boy. Erin, Greene, you always have the best guests ever, man. Because this is so important, man. Because we need, because it's going to be predominantly a small business advocacy group.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help us a lot to get it message out to the local and international environment, to see.
Absolutely. And you will strengthen local organizations because now they can easily identify which vendors in the market can support what it is they're doing.
Exactly.
Yes, precisely.
And as a collective, we have more power. Power to the people.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. The thing I've been saying, before is like we're all... The amount of incredible work that's happening out there by these organizations is immense. And imagine if we can harness that.
Absolutely.
And it's about building better together.
All right. This is awesome. Will the webinar be recorded?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I'm not preempting anything, right? But there's lots happening this week.
And we'll make sure to get it up to our YouTube page as well. But folks, if you're interested and you missed it, we're very accessible. You can reach out to us anytime.
Absolutely. It's going to be a full week. There's independence celebrations tomorrow, U.S. independence celebrations tomorrow. And then on Thursday, Natino Thompson and I are sitting down in conversation, a haunted conversation on Bahamian society and identity. A slippery fish to catch. It's going to be a great conversation at the RBC Auditorium in the Sir Franklin Wilson Center at UB. The event starts at 7, I think, shortly after your event, Ban. But you recording, we're recording, and then
and this is another thing. When we start working together, we can better coordinate our events.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping to see an organization whose work is just documenting these activities to provide better access. Ms. Bethel, I'm so glad that we've had this conversation with org over the last several months. I hope to have you all back on again so we could document the progress of the Map for Good project and the other activities that you guys are engaged in. This has been On the Clock with Erin Greene. Remember, today is National Flag Day. Wear your flag colors. Learn more about the flag. Talk to your children about why honoring the flag is important. You guys stay tuned. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.